Hi, today I'm going to introduce you guys to a new monster that I created called the SLICER. When I was creating the SLICER, I kind of had a raptor in mind like the dinosaur. That means that it hunts in packs, but it can still be found rogue. This is what it looks like. So it's a humanoid, but it has long blades for hands, it's got grayish skin, and it has long beaks. Much like a raptor, it also normally hunts prey that is much larger than it. So you might find it hunting mammoths or other like owl bears or an adventuring party. When you're playing the SLICER, you want to keep a few things in mind. First, it is a stealthy predator. It's not something that just comes up to your party on the path and attacks them. It might be jumping from a tree, it might be jumping from the shadows. It's up to you how it attacks them, but it normally isn't fully confronting them. It wants to get that surprise round. Next thing is that it normally attacks at night. It has 120 feet of dark vision and a 20-foot climbing speed and a 40-foot walking speed. So it's pretty fast, so it can really dart around in the shadows. And because of its dark vision, it can really see your party even if they can't see it. The next thing that you want to keep in mind is that it typically does travel in groups, but this doesn't always have to be the case. Maybe that's too much for your party, or maybe that's not enough for your party. So maybe it teams up with some other monsters, or maybe the group is just huge, or it's just to warm them up for something bigger that's coming up soon. When you're actually going to play the SLICER, you kind of want to play it like you're playing a rogue. This is because dexterity is its highest ability, and it only has an AC of 14, and it only has 40 hit points. So it's really like wants to get that surprise round, sneak around, attack them, and if it can attack and then run away, it will, and then come back and finish them off later. And also, maybe they run away after they're injured. It's really up to you what characteristics you want to play it as, but it's definitely more of a cunning thing like a fox rather than a bear. Last thing you want to keep in mind is this will not team up with your players. One, it has this beak that doesn't open, so it's just kind of like a cone on its face, and it can understand Common and Infernal, but it cannot speak. This doesn't mean that it can't show emotions with body language and things, but it's just like a feral beast, kind of like a wild wolf, maybe with rabies is. It might just be there to hunt for the joy of hunting, might be trying to take care of its family, but it's not going to help the party on any quests or to get any treasure or magic items. When it comes to actually attacking, it has two attacks. One called Slice and Dice and one called Pounce. Slice and Dice is really just slicing with the hands because they're blades. And you can't have any ranged attacks unless you want to say they like stuck it to the blade or whatever you want to homebrew on your own. I didn't add any ranged attacks because it's difficult to hold a bow or a slingshot or anything of that sort when you don't have fingers or hands. You have blades. So Slice and Dice is only a +3 to hit, but it does do 2d6 slashing damage when they actually hit, which isn't a ton, but that's because, like I said, it's a stealthy predator. So it tries to get some damage in and then run away, get some more damage in, just get damage in here and there. This last attack is called Pounce. This is one where it might be jumping out of the shadows, might be leaping out of a tree, but it's really so it can get the jump on the players. It can jump up to 20 feet at a player, and then it makes its attack. This attack is with only a +3 and it only does 1d6 slashing damage, but it does normally come with advantage because it's coming out of hiding, and it's a surprise round. So after the players actually hit, then they have to succeed on a DC 14 dexterity saving throw, which is a lot for some parties. And if they fail that dexterity saving throw, they are kind of consumed in the flesh of the SLICER, and they are grappled then. After that, in the beginning of every turn for that player, they repeat that saving throw. If they fail again, they take another d4 piercing damage. This doesn't take any reaction or anything from the SLICER, it's just extra damage and that creature is grappled. So for sometimes this might be okay. If the creature is going to stand there and attack them anyways, might as well, but this takes out any AoE things that the wizard could cast, or even if the SLICER decides to be strategic, like a raptor and go after the weakest link, and maybe it attacks the wizard. That could be detrimental to the party, and the wizard being grappled and not able to use its big AoE spells, and taking a d4 of damage can be a lot for a wizard. When you want to go to incorporate this into your campaign, it is great for in between quests when maybe they have to travel from like kingdom to kingdom, or if they're just on a long trek to go find this dragon's lair. It's really good for just throwing something at your players that isn't really goal oriented, because they might get caught up in just fighting the things they need to fight and they avoid the wild animals and things, but this is something that hunts them, and it gets an attack off, maybe it runs away and it comes back later. So it could be a recurring combat, or maybe your players chase it. It's really just to give them a different kind of thing, give them a break from the constant go, 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 save the world, save this village, save this person, whatever. Really, they're just trying to protect themselves. They are out in the wild with this wild humanoid animal that they probably haven't seen before. It's just to give them a taste of something else and maybe give them a little scare. It can also be left to lead them up to something bigger. It's really up to you what you use with it. It can be used anywhere that you want, purely homebrew. It can be any environment. If you want to say that it migrates, go right ahead, so you can have it in different environments. I'm going to have the link below if you want to copy and paste that. It's on D&D Beyond under Homebrew. It's under SLICER. You can go ahead and check it out and try to add it. If that doesn't work, you can always print it, screenshot it, whatever you want, but you are free to use it in your campaigns.